News Politics. On Sunday, we are reaching you live from our studio in Abuja, the federal capital. I am Femi Akonde. Welcome to the program. Well, 20th of October is a date young Nigerians commemorate the anniversary of the NSAS protest that happened in the year 2020. The purpose of the protest was to pile pressure on the government to end police brutality allegedly perpetrated by the Special Anti-Robbery Squad. This was arguably the first time young Nigerians were united and spoke with one voice. But their zeal and determination was short-lived when the protest was hijacked and turned violent. The protest led to several deaths, looting, and destruction of both public and private infrastructure. Since then, the conversation around NSAS has not stopped. It even transcends beyond police brutality to the demand for good governance and accountability. As Nigerian youths commemorate the 4th anniversary of the NSAS protest today, some of the activists who led that mass action have called for the full implementation of the reports submitted by various judicial panels of inquiry set up after the protest. Well, joining me from Kaduna is Senator Shehu Sani. He's going to join me via Zoom. He's a prominent civil rights activist and was in the front line of protest against the brutal military dictatorship of General Sani Abacha. He's a former senator and politician. But I have here in the studio Comrade Musa Kwantongora of the ASO News. He's a member of the National Youth Council of Nigeria. And in the year 2020, he told me that he was the acting speaker of the Youth Assembly in Niger State. Welcome to the program, Musa.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Since 2020, 4 years on now after that NSAS protest, it appears as if the ghost of the NSAS is yet to rest. It's still haunting the nation since that time. What's the problem? Because there are lingering concerns that justice remains elusive.
Well, to me, it is a tragedy that will never be forgotten, especially for the youth of Nigeria. And for those that lost their life will always be remembered. But you see, protest is allowed. It's a process in which we come out, we show our grievances to government, tell them this is what we think is the solution in order to make an adjustment. But you see, it comes in the other side that it was hijacked, and then government have done the necessary things they need to be done. You see, it happens at the past government, but this government try its possible best by bringing in some of the pioneers of this NSAS to government. We have one of them as the Minister of Communication, which was the pioneer of NSAS, and a lot of them. This is an opportunity in which that Nigerians will understand that the youth will never forget. Will never be forgotten in Nigeria. But what we need to do as youth is to unite ourselves, to separate the good ones from the bad. That's the most important thing that needs to be done.
Okay, there were several demands pushed forward by the NSAS protesters at that time. Why it appears as if that agitation has not ended is because a lot of these demands were not met. They say government is a continuum. We know it did not happen under this administration, but a lot of those demands still haven't been met.
A lot of those demands we pass into law. We have the National Assembly. There are a lot of things that the president cannot do himself. It has to pass strategy stages in the National Assembly, first reading, second reading, third reading, and then it will be confirmed by the National Assembly to be implemented into law. And there are a lot of activities that is being brought out to engage a lot of youths that are found into all the cyber crimes, and a lot of that is what caused the protest, because they said a lot of ignorant youths that are not involved into those atrocities are being brutalized by the police. So now the government has brought in a lot of skills in order to train those youths that have the intelligence of computer, that have the intelligence of software devices, in order to let them benefit the country, not only let it be for the benefit of themselves in crime, but let it be benefit of the nation in general.
Okay. Would you say there's anything you can point to that movement achieved?
Well, there are a lot of achievements that took place immediately after the protest. One of it is, I I think that the last president, the former president of Nigeria, President Muhammadu Buhari, has passed it into law that the police brutality should be stopped. And I think it was stopped. And that what come to the end of the NSAS itself completely. Meaning the organizations that's in charge of the police brutality being identified by the citizens have been called to end. I think that is one of the #1 achievement. That set of people that brutalize...
Well, not many people will agree that that brutality has stopped, because we still see videos online
of course,
of some police officers. They might not be members of SAS now, you know, still brutalizing young people for flimsy reasons and excuses.
You know, there is another point I'm trying to make is...
Go ahead.
We should try and be good citizens, abiding, respectful, because this country... Let us not think because if the country got wrong, it is the fault of the president alone. We are growing. The president will only have 4 or eventually 8 years. And then we are the youths. We grow up to the essence of taking the mantle of leadership. A lot of people that participated into the NSAS today, they are being among the sayers of government. So I think it is very, very important for us to indicate one thing. One thing we should indicate is we should be law-abiding. We should desist ourselves from criminal activities, and if there's anything found wanting by any of the police officers or law enforcement agency brutalizing any of the citizens, I think the government of Nigeria will never take it lightly.
Yes, and then we have also seen, after that NSAS protest, we have seen several protests, but it now appears as if, you know, every protest turned violent. That would lead to destruction of property, even loss of lives and all sorts. It's still an alternative for young people to get the attention of government. Must it always be, you know, this kind of protest that even sometimes become some sort of inconvenience to other people?
The Constitution of Nigeria permits protest. But protest is a process in which we come out, say our grievances, and then at the end of the day, we find a lasting solution to it. But no government will allow a protest that has no agenda, that has no meaning. If we understand the last NSAS protest that we are talking of now has an agenda to end police brutality. Other protests have no agenda. If they have agenda, who are those that they are pioneers of the protest? So in general, it is 2 things. The citizens should support the government in order to what? In terms of governing, in type of making the lives better. It's not the duty of the government alone in order to make the citizens of the country better. It is the responsibility of everybody. You as an individual, you engage a lot of people into communication, into TV station, trying to what? To bring out the lasting solution in order to make lives better for Nigerians. So I think every citizen has a way to add value, to make life better to the citizens of the country.
Okay, then we'll take a quick break now, and then we'll return to, so we'll go and see if we can fix that technical problem we're having with the connection with Senator Sheikh Hussaini, and we'll continue with the rest of the program after this short break. Don't go away. Welcome back. Well, let's try and reconnect with Senator Sheikh Hussaini from Kaduna State, joining us to talk about the NSAS protest finding closure 4 years on. Hello, Comrade Sheikh Hussaini. Good evening, sir.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you for having me.
Okay, sir. Well, comrade, we're talking about the NSAS protest finding closure 4 years on. But why does it seem as if it's been very difficult for, especially the youth, the young people, to, you know, find that closure? Is it because justice has been elusive?
Thank you again for having me in this quarter. First of all, we must appreciate the patriotism, the courage, the conviction of the organizers of NSAS. It was a seismic political event. The restoration of democracy in 1999. There have been a series of protests by organized labor, by student union, by other civil society groups. But there has never been a time to which the political foundation of this nation was shaken by an organic protest, an organic objection and civil resistance by the people against the establishment. It was actually a protest sparked by the repudiation of police brutality, but it spread to around the country, generating a followership for which people stood up to challenge the government. We cannot say that there was no achievement in the sense that, first of all, a clear message was sent to the government and the political establishment that a united people, determined, resolved to change their destiny possible. And as we have seen how people, particularly young people, came out in the streets all over the country to register their protests. And secondly, for the fact that government considered and dissolved the SARS and also implement some aspects of police reforms is also an achievement. And we can see that that protest ignited a national conversation on the imperative or the need for people in government to always consider public opinion as a democracy. Before NSAS, people, when they think they win elections, so they have the mandate empowered by the Constitution to do what they want at any time. But young people in the streets, it was such a revolutionary event. Send a clear message that because you win elections, because you are in power, in the position of power authority, so you can't do as you want. And the issue of police brutality was the spark that brought people out. When all over the world and in history, people have always protested based on an issue. For example, the Arab Spring was ignited by the self-immolation of Mohamed Bouazizi in Tunisia, and which led to the spread of that protest and that overthrew autocratic and dictatorial regime around the Arab world. So that was our own spring. It was a Nigerian spring, and because young people have proven that they have to take back their country by standing up against the excesses, also the arbitrariness of the police, and also the sort of arrogance of people in the position of power. So it was a strong message, and the message was sent, and achievements were made. But unfortunately, the problem we had was that there was no clear leadership to consolidate on that, and also to make that into a movement for which they will take, the young people can take power ultimately. So it came and it fizzled out, and the memories are there, but history was made.
You're saying that young people or those protesters, the NSAS protesters, missed the mark. They didn't really achieve much with that protest. Is that it?
No, they have achieved because, first of all, the protest was sparked by police brutality. For all we know, SARS is an unit of the state apparatus, particularly the police, and their actions have always gone contrary to law, and they have become identified with ill treatment of detainees, unlawful detention, gross human rights violations. This was what that outfit became symbol of. So for the fact that people stood up, young people resisted, and then that unit was dissolved, was a major achievement. And also the aspect of police reform also came to the forefront. And then also from that time, and I believe to this time, people in government now see the value of consulting young people and also including them into affairs of governance. And then young people are not being treated for granted to such a level. Because before NSAS, most protests were organized by the labor, student union, and other civil groups that don't have that national spread. But NSAS changed the narrative and also the geopolitical map of civil objections, which we are all proud of. I can remember in 1993, when most of us were in the street fighting for Jim Crow, fighting for democracy. That was the kind of spirit, the kind of value, the kind of agility we had at that very time. And the event of that NSAS protest really rekindled that power of the people to take their destiny into their hands, which was something that will continue to remain in the memory and the annals of the history of our country.
All right, Senator Shosani, now with the current insecurity, it does appear as if it has also been weaponized to stifle protests, because we are beginning to see a situation where the civic space is shrinking. Anytime protests are organized, it's met with strong resistance from the security, and they say it's because they are trying to also ensure that, you know, these protests are not hijacked by some undesirable element. So it does appear as if insecurity now is always the excuse to use against these protests we're having recently.
A democratic society must avail and guarantee and protect the rights of people to register protests. And protest is the oxygen of democracy. It is when people move to the street that at times those in power will know that they are mortals and they are also not invincible. So all over the world, people, democratic nations, people come out to register their protests. And even the democracy itself is a product of protest. Without protest, Nigeria could not have transited to democracy. That was our function. And I've also always referred to the president being the father of protest, by the protest which he led and by the one which he supported, directly or indirectly, in the last 3 decades. So, you can't, as a democracy, deny people the right to protest. It's their right. The Constitution provided it. So you're not doing a favor when you say people can protest. It's the Constitution of the country guarantees them the right to protest. But now, looking at what has happened in the end bad governance protest, protest also, there are code of conduct for protest. Protest needs leadership. Protests need a duration, protests need a purpose, and protests need control. If you don't consider such factors, it simply generates into violence. Like we have seen in November, the end bad governance protest was a protest in good faith, because people are hungry, people are demanding that government to implement economic reforms with human face. And also, people have the right to say governance is bad and we should come out and register their objections. But what is not acceptable is for you to ignite or to call for a protest and you don't have control over the protest that you ignited or fought. A protest was fought for the whole country. But in the northern part of Nigeria, there was no identifiable leaders of this protest. So people were told to come out on the street. And then it led to the violence we have seen in Kano, the violence we have seen in Kaduna, the violence we have seen in Yobe. People looted shops, burned down buildings, started snatching phones, attacking women, and then burning down property. And that is not protest. But the one that happened in southern part of Nigeria, because you have leaders that you can identify, who can take responsibility, and then you see it was peaceful. So if no responsible country will simply pull its arms and see thugs and criminals taking laws into their hands and burning down buildings in the names of them, because they hide behind this protest that is genuine and credible, and then unleash this kind of violence. So if we can see what happened in Sudan, it was a protest that started as a result of people's anger against the rise of prices of bread, and then it went on and spread to the need to change government, and then before you know it, it became a season of disorder and lawlessness. And then all you have was the military coming in, taking over power, and the whole country is now in jeopardy, it's in war. Everything has been destroyed. So for a nation like ours, over 220 million people, I think whatever we're going to do, rights should be guaranteed, but the security and safety of others is also very important. There has never been a country of 250 million people or 20 million people that have gone into violence and civil strife and come out of it. What is the population of our neighbors? So if you are calling for a protest and you want that protest to succeed, you must appoint leaders for which can be respected. If I say I'm going to call a protest and beginning from point A to ending point B, and whoever is going to be that part of protest should follow the rules which we are moving along. But when you call protests, there are no leaders. There is so much anger. There are so much people who will take it go into their hands. And this is what we had in northern part of Nigeria.
And it was
because of the violence, the bloodshed. That's why the second aspect of the end bad governance couldn't succeed. Because
before I let you go, just want you to answer this. Yeah, before I let you go, just want you to answer this. You know, we have seen that in this part of the country, you know, most of the protests we have had recently did not really bring solutions. If protest is not the answer, is there an alternative to engaging government? A better alternative?
You see, when you talk to the government and they don't listen, and when you write the government, they don't listen, and when you pray the government, they don't listen. The next is for people to protest. There is nothing wrong with that. People have to come out and protest and say no. But what is not acceptable is for people to start burning down goods. And we have conducted this interview in Kaduna. Myself and the present governor of Kaduna State, we have organized so many protests 30 years ago, and it was peaceful. So he cannot say people should not protest. But when people started burning down goods, that's a different matter. Even the president himself, he cannot. It is a fact that most of the young people who are protesting, they learn from him and they go through his history. So people have the right to protest, and don't say that government doesn't listen to protest. They do, because each time you have 100, 200, 300 people on the street, the reputation of the government is also on the street. So people should not say they will not protest. The issue is that don't just start burning buildings. Don't just subscribe to violence. Don't start killing people in the name of protest. And that should be well taken care of. And the security agencies provide protection for people who wants to protest.
Senator Shehu-Sani, I'm afraid we are out of time now. I must thank you very much for your time on the program. And apologies, we couldn't really connect with you at the beginning because of technology. I would say technology failed us today. Well, and I must also thank you, Musa Kontongora of ASO Villa News for your intervention on the program today. Thank you very much, sir. Well, that's all time will permit us to take on the program today. Do remember you can see this episode again on TVC News YouTube channel. Also, like, share, and well, that's all on the program today. See you next time.